Hello world, it's JWP, J-Word Primo Beats, coming to you live from my bedroom. Check me out on YouTube, JWPTube. Check me out on Twitch, JWP Stream. Check me out on Patreon, JWP Patreon. Check me out on Facebook, JWP Meta. And check me out on Discord, JWP server. Today I'm going to be looking at a project I'm working on I call Primo Parts. It is an extension of my channel strip because I'm sick of waiting to develop all the components of my channel strip, and the filters are rotten as they are sort of broken. I'm just going to move on to a smaller segmented project which has no dynamics for now. I may possibly move in some dynamics, but right now I want to cut a channel strip that I can use for my Primo Beats. That's where the name comes from. Alright, so I'm not 100% set up here. I did forget to break out a screen changer. I just want to make sure that I can see everything. I'm going to open up my tool here. We'll go peek through. And I guess I can open up a mic muter. It's usually already active once I start. Microphone, headset microphone, that's the one I want. Just gonna do check. Alright, so that's good. And for the peek through, I wanted the multi-view here, just so I can see which window I'm on in case I'm just talking away about something and I'm actually just on my intro screen. And I'm just gonna hide that under my picture and use my peek through to make it transparent. All right, so into the project. I don't usually do this because this is my active project. However, it's most likely going to be cut soon, so I'm just going to look at it. So we have pre, and in pre we have a stereo creator and a little bit of leveling. I do want a mid-side leveler after the stereo creation, so I'm going to have to jump into that. Saturator, EQs. The saturator is before the EQs. Just because if we push on an EQ, it might push into the saturator. We want to get our saturation level before pushing into the EQ, or pushing into it with an EQ, rather cutting and boosting EQs as well. Post, we have a segmenter. I want an extra band here. However, I don't think I'm going to have the time to do that. 3 bands is fine. Mostly really need 2 just to separate out the low end. 4 bands would be nice, but that's not the situation here. Options. I have a panel off for the mix knobs here. They are global, so they cannot just these 2, right? Excuse me. Settings, there are no settings, and about, there is no about, which I have to build. So what is the difference between options and settings? In my opinion, settings are visual components that don't change the sound. Options are static components that change sound or any sort of selection function that directly affects the signal. For instance, setting would be here. I have in the EQ, I have a pitch, or this would be the center frequency. And if we click it regular click, we get its current frequency. And if we right click the readout, we can switch to notes. And currently there's nothing because we have to right click the knob and select one. Currently the only thing working right now is harmonics, inharmonics, and scale harmonics. So if we select harmonics, we'll get all of the full, not full, but all the half steps, I guess you could say. So all the notes, the EQ snapping to harmonics. We can see that if we go back to frequency, it may not look like it's in the smaller numbers, but in the bigger numbers, like we have the 880, and it's just directly snapping to these. If we go in our harmonics, this is the notes between notes, or rather not notes. And this is for cutting usually. And we also have the scale harmonics. So this is in fact working right now. This is just all of the C scale, if we can select the scale from up here. However, if we switch to anything else, it's all just the same thing. It's just, or it's actually all of the notes. So that's not programmed in yet. It's going to be quite the task to get those in there, as I manually have to enter in all of those values. However, I'm just going to move past that, and harmonics and inharmonics are good for now. Scale inharmonics is the same thing as inharmonics. They're the opposite of the notes, so they are the notes between notes kind of thing, which don't exist. Sort of the middle of equal temperament, both before and after. So think of it like the gaps between notes kind of thing, and it targets directly in the middle. And then not scale harmonics, so those are the notes left over from a scale. Again, harmonics, so notes, only the notes. And not scale inharmonics, so the opposite. However, those have to be programmed, and no snap. And we right click this area here, bring frequency back and close that up. Nothing too fancy about the saturator, it's just a saturator. It does have a link, so we can right click here and there's link off, and that'll hold its value, which was sent there. If we turn a link back on here, so let's say 1 to 1, it's going to snap in the opposite direction. However, 1 to 1 is quite steep. I find a third is good enough. So yeah, that's a third of the amount here. And we have a clip for the clip stuff. We have clip and inverted clip. They sound a little different, that's why I kept them. And then this will determine how much clip that happens. However, it does look like it's snapping two values, so I'm gonna have to fix that because I want that loose. And I guess I could do that now, right after. So I've already explained EQs we have. It's a bit different, whereas I'm gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna save real quick in case it decides to crash. We have the frequency response. If we start moving things, it doesn't look like I'm getting any response here though, which is unfortunate. Not sure why. Does the saturator respond? No. Maybe I gotta turn the saturator off. Okay, so we're totally broken here. I'm not sure why. Good stuff. Great start to the video. But this is just a really... Let's get rid of this clip quantizer. So that is in the control section here, and that would be under saturator, which is this one, because it's before the EQ, right? So it's sitting here. Clip. Now I want to go into the visual here, and this is what's making it stepped or snapping to values. I don't know what the values are. Divided by 20, so that's quite large. However, I do want this to be 100% loose, so I'm just going to get rid of all three of these. That's just the way I quantize things. So that's done. And I should be able to slide around now, yeah, and get really small values there. And the default from the prefab was -40. So I'm just going to turn off link off. Actually, I'm going to turn it back on for a second. So let's go 1, 1, and then we'll set that to 0, just exact 0. Then we'll turn it off, just for the default setting. This is also, unlike clipped, I don't have time to be setting up stepped, but the drive does have stepped, so it will increment or decrement by 1.5 decibels. And then if we turn that off, we get smooth or small, tiny values, hold control, and we can get really tall, tiny ones, which comes in handy for making perfect drive. So I'm just going to, I don't have a reset there, so I'm just going to reset manually. A lot of things in here. I'm actually going to add that to the list here. I have a list of things I want. So this is done. Harmonic and harmonic snapping. I'm going to move that done. And then I want stepped controls, which will probably never happen because I'm just about out of time. And I want reset to a default value. Right click. Okay, so that's saved. What's next here? I gotta get things running. This is the part where I really see if things are gonna work. So currently the band is set to 1,000. I'm gonna build it and we'll see how it sounds. I don't know why the frequency responder isn't responding anymore. Maybe I accidentally broke the impulse system somewhere. The gate. No, that looks like it's attached. Let's get a readout of that. See if it is in fact running properly. Okay, so I will grab a voltmeter and we're just going to toss that in front of the impulse gate here. And we're going to activate the system and we're just going to move some knobs. Okay, so that's not responding at all. It's amazing it actually snapped back to 0. It's not even stepped. Let's turn stepped back on. Let's look at the EQ system. Still nothing. So something's wrong somewhere. Something's not connected. What's my default output here for? Sound. Default. It should be fine. I'm not doing any music right now, so. So why then is it broken? Why then is it not responding? What about the visual? Visual will come through the top, right? So I have a pre-built meter here, but I want bool. And then we're going to connect that one and see if that one responds. This actually has to be set to controls on parent, which it already is. Okay, now let's see. No, nothing. See, it should respond once I click things. I don't even have to move things because of the mouse down, but yeah, it's not doing anything. So something's broken somewhere. So this is control. Where is it? Down here. Control visual trigger. And that's not control anymore. That's actually EQ. EQ's visual trigger. And I'm just going to rename everything here. And down the line. Exciting stuff, right? And I recently discovered that changing this top name will update things. Instead of having to drop a container on, it'll automatically update things. So that's running. However, that's not the right one. This is actually saturator EQ responder. I'm gonna turn off the system before I crash myself. All right, so let's do some more naming here. And that's coming down into the controls. So it looks like it may be missing. Yeah, it doesn't have any. Where did it go? Weird. No, it says that there's something attached to it. Right there, right? Oh no, there isn't. What? Why? Is it down here somewhere or something? No, it's totally empty. Weird. I must have accidentally deleted it. So let's copy this one. However, in order to copy a GUI pass container or pylon, GUI pylon, I need to put something in front of it. So I'm going to go to switches, and that's a bool. So I'm going to throw a bool here, just a quick switch, and then connect that here, and that'll keep it active. And I'm going to copy and paste. So otherwise, if we try to copy and paste a pylon, so click it and copy, right click paste, it'll turn itself into a DSP, which doesn't help anything. So let's delete that. However, creating a DSP and connecting it to what's connecting? It's connecting to something here. Creating a DSP pass-through container or pylon does work. So what is it connected to? I connected at the bottom here. Apparently it's connected to everything, so it is connected. So this is why I don't stream regular development, because it's quite dry and just a lot of troubleshooting. Okay, so let me just put that back and delete all this mess. Cool, so that's going through, this is going through, that's going through, this is going through, but they're not responding. Perhaps it's because this needs to be control on parent, that's why. So this new container here is something I recently did, and it has to have, in order for, what is it called? In order for subcontrols to be able to talk to each other, they need to have their controls on parent active, even if they're just empty containers, or even if they're just containers that don't contain any visual elements. And a lot of times when we do stuff like that, we get these little guys here, these little tiny things that don't actually do anything. I'm not sure where the current one is that I just opened up, but it does happen. I'm sure that's what they are. Not 100% sure. I mean, I could test, but I'm not really in the mood. Let's see now if anything's responding. I'm going to save before activating the system, and we're activated. And yeah, so the system's active. We can see we're getting values happening. However, we're still not seeing anything in the frequency responder. How does it snap back to a 0? What perk if I look? Am I even moving anything? Yeah. Right then. Okay, so why am I not getting frequency? Let's turn down the saturator. Sometimes it's the saturator that does. Oop, that's not the saturator. This is there. It is. It's the saturator that does that sometimes. When I push the saturator too hard, it'll eat up the frequency responder. So let's move the gain around a bit and the pitch. So okay, so the mix is on. What's going on? Why isn't it responding? Wow, my stream is way behind on my preview. That means my chat is going to be way behind. As if anybody's going to come chat with me. Never know. Okay, there it is. Okay, so there's the response curve there. And we'll turn that gain back down if we want to see it happening. I guess this should be about 1,000, right? That's the center of the bandpass. Yeah. You can see it moving. So let's turn that down, or zero it out rather. And then let's get back to the saturator. And it just disappears, eh? Just like pop. It's gone. Oh, it's inverted clip, so let's try overdrive. Yeah, we can see. And it does this weird thing where it like comes back. It's like, yes, the saturator. I'm not sure what goes on there. I tried to diagnose it like mentally, and I couldn't figure out why it does that, like why. But we could still get like a saturation response out of it, I think. No, it doesn't want to do it right now. Weird. Usually it gives me like squiggly lines in there, which represent the overdrive. Perhaps the frequency responder should need. And I'm back in here. Let's turn that up. I'm turn the system off. I'm surprised I left the system running the whole time. All right, so what is next? Next is getting things built here. Said I was going to do a test. So let's give it a test run here. The segmenter has to be set up. The inputs, outputs have to be set up. So let's start with the inputs, outputs. Okay, so that would be an IO mod. And because this default has LR system, I'm just going to use LR system. Usually I separate the IO mods for each left and right. I actually might have to, no, can't. Okay, so this is going to be ugly. Oh, I already have an LR in. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. And bring this guy in, and then R down here. Get rid of that one. Impulse doesn't matter because it's already a self-contained system. And then on the outboard, which is way over here, we have the left and right, which need to go to the segmenter. So I'm just going to grab this and bring it down here. And we are going to delete this IO mod here. And then left, and bring the segmenter down some more. And delete that. And then right, and the system's off, yes. And that's it, because impulse is self-contained. And then we need an IO mod again. This is complete out. And this is the